The sun was golden that Saturday afternoon in Lagos. The city hummed with excitement as designer cars rolled into the luxurious event center in Lekki. Inside, everything sparkled. Chandeliers glittered, guests shimmered in sequins, and the air smelled of perfume and power. At the center of it all stood Amara, the self-acclaimed slay queen of Instagram. Every eye followed her as she floated down the aisle in a gown so dramatic that even the event host whispered, "Not only Amara fit pull this one off." Her groom, Chaik, stood waiting. He wasn't a flashy man, a quiet, broad-shouldered software engineer whose calmness contrasted her fire. He had fallen for Amara's beauty first, but her confidence had sealed his heart. She had promised him she would change. No more late-night parties, no more endless selfies with the girls. He believed her. As the priest pronounced them husband and wife, camera flashes exploded like fireworks. Amara grinned, not because of the vows, but because of the dozens of phones recording her every move. She knew this wedding would trend, and that was what mattered most. Later at the reception, guests whispered, "Can she really be a wife? She's marrying a simple tech guy, not one of those big boys she used to follow." But Amara didn't care. She was getting everything she wanted, a man who adored her, and the status of being Mrs. Chaik. The first few weeks of marriage were sweet. Chaik was patient. He woke early, made breakfast, and kissed her forehead before heading to work. Amara, however, still lived online. She spent her mornings setting up ring lights, posting her wedding pictures, and captioning them with quotes like, "Soft life or nothing." When Chaik came home exhausted, she would show him her phone. "Baby, look, I hit 50,000 followers today." He would smile politely, but a quiet worry grew in his chest. Bills began to pile up. Designer deliveries, constant hair appointments, and weekend brunches with influencers. When Chaik asked her to slow down, she snapped, "Don't tell me how to live, Chaik. You knew who I was before you married me." One night, he returned home early and found the house filled with strangers. A film crew shooting Amara's new lifestyle vlog, Life with the Slay Queen Wife. His neatly arranged living room was turned into a studio, his peace into chaos. "Amara, what is all this?" he asked quietly. "Content creation, babe. You should be happy. I'm building our brand." "Our brand? Or your fame?" Her eyes rolled. "You just don't understand." The word stung. He loved her deeply, but each day, he felt more like a background prop in her story. Weeks turned into months, and soon the online world began to notice cracks in Amara's perfect image. Rumors of fake sponsorships, unpaid collaborations, and her husband's frustration started spreading. But Amara refused to slow down. "Let them talk," she told herself. "I was born to shine." Still, sometimes at night, when Chaik had already turned away in silence, she scrolled through her old photos. Pictures of when she was just Amara from Enugu, a dreamer with no followers but plenty of peace. For the first time, she wondered if she had lost something bigger than fame. The turning point came one rainy Friday. Chaik returned home soaked after his car broke down. Amara was on a live stream, laughing with her audience about men who don't have vibes. When she saw him walk in drenched, her heart skipped. Guilt flashed for a second, but pride drowned it. Chaik didn't say a word. He just looked at her, at the bright lights, the phone camera, and the woman he barely recognized. Then he turned away and went to bed without eating. That night, Amara's followers asked in the comments, "Who's that man that just walked past you looking angry?" She laughed it off on camera. But deep inside, something cracked. The next morning, the silence between them was heavier than the Lagos humidity. Amara sat on the bed, staring at her ring. For the first time since the wedding, she didn't reach for her phone. She didn't know it yet, but her marriage, and her Slay Queen life, was about to collide in a way that would change her forever. The Slay Queen Wife. Subscribe, like, and turn on notifications. The drama is only just beginning. The rain had stopped, but the silence inside their home lingered like fog. Amara sat on the edge of the bed, scrolling aimlessly through her phone. Her last post, a short reel titled "Married but Still Glowing," had over 20,000 views. The comments were full of heart emojis and praise, but she couldn't feel any of it. Across the room, Chaik buttoned his shirt without saying a word. His face was calm, but the quiet was heavy. Are you going to keep ignoring me? Amara asked, her tone defensive. He looked up briefly. Amara, I'm tired of talking. You don't listen. Her heart twisted with irritation. You think I don't try? Everything I'm doing is for us. For our future. Chaik shook his head slowly. For us. Or for your followers. The words landed like a slap. He left for work, leaving her staring at the door, anger mixing with shame. She picked up her phone again, her comfort, her stage. Within minutes, she was back to smiling on camera, telling her fans about a new skincare routine. But deep inside, she felt a strange emptiness, one that no filter could hide. Later that week, things took a sharp turn. Amara received an offer from a popular lifestyle brand in South Africa. They wanted her to fly out for a week to shoot a promotional campaign. It was the biggest deal she'd ever gotten, worth millions of naira. When she told Chaik, his reaction wasn't what she expected. Congratulations, he said softly. But do you really have to go? Things are already tense here. Chaik, this is business. Do you know how many influencers would kill for this chance? He sighed. Amara, marriage needs time. You're never really here. She laughed bitterly. You just don't get it. I can't sit around cooking while the world is moving. I have dreams too. Chaik didn't argue further. He simply nodded and walked away, something he'd started doing a lot lately. The trip was everything Amara had imagined. Luxury hotels, bright lights, expensive meals. Her face was everywhere. On posters, on social media, even on a billboard in Johannesburg. For a moment, she felt invincible. But that feeling didn't last. One night, during a post-shoot dinner, another influencer, a bold woman named Zinzi, leaned closer and whispered, Babe, I hear your husband is angry about your lifestyle. You sure your marriage go last? Amara forced a smile. People love to gossip. Zinzi shrugged. Careful, darling. Fame sweet, but marriage fragile. Those words haunted her on the flight back to Lagos. When she got home, Chaik wasn't there. The house was quiet. No aroma of food, no sound of his computer typing. On the dining table sat a simple note. We need space. Don't call me. I'll be staying at my friend's place for a while. Her chest tightened. She called him immediately, no answer. She texted, no reply. For the first time, Amara panicked. Her followers couldn't help her now. Her phone, usually her best friend, suddenly felt like a curse. Days turned into weeks. She kept posting online, pretending everything was fine. Smiling, dancing, collaborating. But her eyes betrayed her. People began to notice. Comments appeared under her videos. You don't look happy anymore. Where's your husband? Haven't seen him in your posts. Rumors began to spread. That Chaik had left her. That she cheated. That her perfect marriage was fake. Her manager advised her to release a statement. Just say everything is fine. People love happy stories. So she did. She filmed a video in her pristine living room, flashing her ring. Hey loves. Ignore the gossip, please. My husband and I are doing great. Don't believe everything you hear online. The video went viral, but not for the reason she hoped. Sharp-eyed fans noticed the background. Chaik's clothes were gone. His favorite mug wasn't on the table. Within hours, blogs picked it up. Slay Queen wife's marriage on the rocks? Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing. The fame she craved now turned poisonous. One evening, Amara finally drove to Chaik's friend's apartment in Surulere. He opened the door, surprised. Amara? She looked exhausted. Her wig wasn't perfectly styled. Her nails were chipped. Please. I just want to see him. Chaik appeared from inside, arms crossed. Amara, you shouldn't have come. Tears welled in her eyes. I'm sorry, Chaik. I didn't mean to hurt you. I got lost. He sighed. You care more about strangers online than your own husband. Every time I tried to talk, you turned the camera on. I can change, she whispered. Please. He looked at her, conflicted. Change isn't a caption, Amara. It's a choice. She reached out, but he stepped back gently. I need time to trust that the woman I married is still there. Amara drove home slowly that night, her mascara running. When she got inside, she sat on the couch and stared at her phone. Notifications blinked. Comments, mentions, collaborations. She turned it face down. For once, she didn't want to be seen. Instead, she opened her gallery and looked at photos of her and Chaik from their honeymoon. The beach smiles, the laughter, the peace. Her throat tightened. She whispered to herself, maybe it's time I start living for real, not for likes. The next morning, she deleted every brand post and video featuring fake smiles. Instead, she uploaded a plain, unfiltered video. Her eyes were swollen, her voice soft. Hi everyone. I know I've built this image of perfection, but life isn't always that way. I've made mistakes. I hurt someone I love. This isn't content, it's my truth. The internet exploded again, but this time many comments were kind. Respect for being real. We all make mistakes. Stay strong, sis. It didn't fix her marriage, but for the first time in a long time, Amara felt honest. That night she didn't sleep. The rain returned, tapping on the windows. She whispered a prayer she hadn't said in years. God, if you give me another chance, I'll do it right this time. She didn't know if Chaik would forgive her, but she finally understood what Zinzi had said. Fame sweet but marriage fragile. And Amara wasn't sure which one she truly wanted anymore. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more African drama stories filled with love, pain, and redemption. 2 months had passed since Amara's emotional confession video went viral. The world had moved on to other scandals, but her life still felt like it was standing still. The house was quiet, emptier now. Her followers had dropped by half. Most of her brand deals had been suspended, and her once busy phone rarely buzzed. Yet somehow she felt lighter, like the noise had finally left her mind. She had started volunteering at a women's empowerment center in Yaba. Not for content, not for likes, but to do something real. The center trained young women in small-scale businesses like makeup artistry, tailoring, and phone photography. Miss Amara, you're the influencer ABI? One of the girls asked shyly on her first day. Amara smiled faintly. I used to be, but you can just call me Amara. The girls laughed, warming to her. It was strange. They didn't see her as a celebrity but as someone human, someone reachable. That felt good. One afternoon, as she taught them how to film product videos using natural light, a young lady named Ifeoma approached her. Auntie, I watch your videos before. You day always talk say soft life only. But now you're here, working like us. What changed? Amara paused. For a moment, she didn't know how to answer. Then she smiled sadly. I learned that soft life isn't about luxury, Ifeoma. It's about peace. The girl nodded thoughtfully, and Amara felt something stir in her chest. The feeling of purpose she'd lost in the chaos of likes and brand deals. Meanwhile, Chaik had remained distant. He occasionally texted her to check in, but the warmth between them was gone. He had moved into a smaller apartment closer to his tech firm. One Sunday afternoon, Amara decided to visit him. She baked banana bread, his favorite, and drove there quietly, her heart pounding with nerves. When he opened the door, surprise flashed in his eyes. Amara, I didn't come to talk about the past, she said quickly. I just wanted to say thank you. For everything. You were patient when I wasn't. Chaik looked at her for a long moment, then stepped aside. You can come in. Inside, his apartment was neat, but simple. Nothing like the glossy chaos of their Lekki home. They sat opposite each other, the silence thick. Finally, Chaik spoke. I watched your video. The one where you apologized to the public. She nodded, fiddling with her fingers. It wasn't for them, Chaik. It was for me. And maybe for you. He exhaled slowly. I could tell. It was the first time I saw you again. Not the influencer, just Amara. Tears welled in her eyes. I want to fix things, but I understand if you're not ready. Chaik looked down at his hands. I'm not angry anymore. Just cautious. Love is easy, trust takes time. Amara nodded, her voice trembling. I'll wait. Even if it takes forever. They didn't hug or make promises, but something shifted. A quiet beginning where an ending once stood. In the weeks that followed, Amara focused on rebuilding her image the right way. She launched a small YouTube series called Beyond the Filters, where she interviewed everyday Nigerian women, hairdressers, nurses, market sellers, about real-life struggles. instead of curated perfection. The video showed sweat, laughter, and resilience. To her surprise, people loved it. Comments poured in. Finally, something real. This is the Amara we missed. Even brands began reaching out again, this time for authentic campaigns. Things that aligned with her new voice. Her manager, Ada, couldn't hide her amazement. Amara, this is powerful. You've gone from a slay queen to a role model. Amara smiled humbly. Let's just say I'm learning to be human again. But not everyone celebrated her comeback. One night, while editing a new video, Amara received a message from an unknown account. You think you've changed, but you still fake. Wait and see. She frowned, assuming it was just another troll. But within days, screenshots began spreading online. Old conversations between her and a brand manager, where she had rudely demanded double payment years ago. The blogs wasted no time. Slay Queen wife caught in old scandal. Has Amara really changed or just rebranded? Her chest tightened. Not again. Ada called immediately. Amara, we need to respond before this gets worse. Amara sat quietly. No, Ada. Let them talk. I did say hurtful things in the past. I can't delete that version of me. Then what will you do? She smiled faintly. Own it. She went live that evening, makeup-free, no ring lights. Her voice was steady but soft. I've made mistakes, yes. I was arrogant. I said things I'm not proud of. But I've changed. Healing doesn't erase your past. It just means you've grown beyond it. For a moment, there was silence. Then the comments started flooding in: support, understanding, and love. We see your growth. Nobody's perfect. You're inspiring. Keep being real. Amara felt tears roll down her cheeks. Not of pain, but relief. Days later, she received a text from Chaik. Saw your live video. I'm proud of you. Her heart fluttered. For the first time in months, she smiled from the inside. She typed back, thank you, one day at a time. And for once, she didn't post the screenshot. She didn't share the text. Some things were too sacred for the internet. By the end of that month, Amara hosted her first live event. Beyond the Filters, Lagos edition. Women from all walks of life filled the small hall. As she took the stage, she felt a rush of emotions. 3 months ago, she said into the mic, I thought I lost everything. But I realized that sometimes, losing what's fake makes space for what's real. The crowd erupted in applause. As the cameras rolled, she spotted a familiar face in the audience, Chaik. He was sitting quietly at the back, smiling. Their eyes met, and she knew that forgiveness had begun, silently, gently. That night, Amara stood on her balcony, looking out at the Lagos skyline. The air smelled like new beginnings. She whispered to herself, I don't need to slay anymore. I just need to live. And for the first time since her wedding day, Amara felt free. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you believe everyone deserves a second chance. The morning breeze swept through the small terrace of Amara's new apartment in Ikeja. Her life was finally starting to balance. Her Beyond the Filters YouTube series had crossed 100,000 subscribers. Brands now invited her not for her looks but for her story, and most importantly, Chaik had started calling again. It was a soft, cautious reconnection, messages here, short visits there. They were not back together, but the wall between them had cracks now, and hope was slowly seeping through. Amara had learned to live differently. Her mornings were quiet, filled with prayer and journaling instead of selfies and captions. She even started mentoring 2 young women from the Empowerment Center, helping them create small online businesses. It seemed peace had finally returned, until the phone call that changed everything. It came on a rainy Thursday evening. Hello, is this Mrs. Amara Chaik? A calm male voice asked. Yes, who's speaking? This is from City General Hospital. Your husband, Mr. Chaik, has been in an accident. Her heart froze. The phone nearly slipped from her hand. What did you say? He was involved in a car crash on 3rd Mainland Bridge. He's stable but unconscious. Please come quickly. The world around her blurred. She grabbed her keys and raced through the wet Lagos streets, tears blurring her eyes as her heart pounded against her ribs. By the time she arrived, her clothes were soaked through. She found Chaik lying motionless in the hospital bed. His head wrapped in white bandages, his arm in a cast. Machines beeped softly beside him. "Chaik," she whispered, gripping his hand. "Please wake up." The nurse touched her shoulder gently. "He's lucky, Ma. The doctors say he will recover, but he needs rest." Amara stayed beside him the whole night. Her phone switched off for the first time in years. She prayed until her voice cracked. "God, I know I've made mistakes, but please don't take him from me." The next few days were long and heavy. Chaik eventually woke up, weak but alive. When he saw her beside him, his eyes softened. "Amara, you're here." She smiled through tears. "Of course I'm here. Where else would I be?" He tried to speak, but his voice faltered. She held his hand. "Don't talk. Just rest." For the first time in months, Amara didn't care about cameras, views, or posts. She cared only about the man lying in that hospital bed. When Chaik was discharged, she took him to her apartment. His family lived in Enugu, and she didn't want him to be alone. She cooked for him, helped him walk, and sometimes just sat beside him silently. One evening, as they watched the sunset from the balcony, Chaik said softly, "You've changed, Amara. I can see it now." She smiled faintly. "I had to lose everything to find myself again." He nodded. "And maybe to find us too." Her eyes glistened. She leaned her head on his shoulder, whispering, "Then let's start over." For a few months, life was beautiful again. They moved back to a small apartment together. Amara continued her YouTube show, while Chaik recovered and resumed work remotely. Their relationship grew quietly. No flashy posts, no public declarations. Just laughter, shared meals and evening walks. But peace in Lagos never lasted long. One night, Amara's manager, Ada, burst into her apartment. "Amara, we have a problem." "What is it?" Ada placed her phone on the table. A viral blog post flashed across the screen. Exclusive. Influencer Amara caught in secret affair with married sponsor. Leaked photos. Amara's heart dropped. "What? That's a lie." Ada scrolled down. "They posted pictures of you and one of the brand directors, Mr. Kelvin. The one from the skincare deal." Amara's mind raced. She remembered the dinner with Kelvin 3 weeks ago. A business meeting. They'd taken a photo at the restaurant, and she'd hugged him goodbye. Someone must have snapped the moment. "But that wasn't anything inappropriate," she protested. "He's married. We were discussing brand renewal." Ada nodded. "I believe you. But the internet doesn't. The story's everywhere." By morning, Amara's comment sections were on fire. So she's back to her old ways. Once a slay queen, always a slay queen. She fooled everyone with her fake rebrand. Tears filled her eyes as she scrolled. Her heart felt crushed. When Chaik came home that evening, she couldn't even look at him. "I saw it," he said quietly. "Chaik, please, it's not true. I swear." He nodded slowly, his face unreadable. "I know you wouldn't cheat. But Amara, you need to understand. The internet doesn't care about truth. They only care about what trends." Her voice broke. "I worked so hard to rebuild myself. Now it's all gone again." He held her gently. "It's not gone. The people who matter will see your heart. Just don't lose yourself trying to prove anything." Amara buried her face in his chest and cried. But things worsened. Brands began suspending her deals again, saying they needed to review the situation. Some even demanded refunds for ongoing campaigns. The same public that once cheered her transformation now mocked her downfall. She considered posting another explanation video, but then paused. Maybe this time, silence would speak louder. For weeks, she said nothing. She focused on her volunteer work, visiting hospitals and teaching young women about online responsibility. Slowly, public attention drifted away. One morning, as she prepared to visit the Empowerment Center, she received a message from an unknown number. "We know the truth. The story was planted by someone close to you. Be careful." Her pulse quickened. She showed Chaik the message. "Who would do that?" she asked. He frowned. "Someone jealous of your progress, maybe. Or a rival influencer." But Amara's instincts whispered another name. Her former assistant, Lydia, who had left angrily months ago after Amara refused to give her credit for editing one of her viral videos. Determined to find out, she called Ada. "Can you check if Lydia still works with any agency?" Ada replied later that day, "Yes, she's working with Kelvin's PR team." The revelation hit Amara like a lightning strike. The same man whose photo started the scandal. It all made sense now. The leak wasn't accidental. It was revenge. Amara didn't confront Lydia. She didn't post about it. Instead, she chose Grace. She wrote a long, heartfelt letter. Not for the public, but for herself. "I've learned that silence can protect peace, but truth protects purpose. Fame is fleeting, but integrity stays. I forgive those who tried to break me, because broken glass can still shine." She sealed it inside her journal and closed it. The next day, she uploaded a simple video, not explaining, not defending, just encouraging others. When people lie about you, stay kind. When they mock your growth, keep growing. Let your life speak louder than your words. It didn't trend. It didn't go viral. But for those who watched, it touched hearts. One comment stood out. "You don't need to prove anything, Amara. We see you. We believe you." That night, Chaik made her favorite meal, jollof rice and plantain, and they ate together in quiet warmth. He looked at her and smiled. "You handled that with strength. I'm proud of you." She smiled softly. "The old Amara would have fought back online, but I think I've finally learned that peace is power." He nodded. "And forgiveness too." As rain began to fall outside, she leaned into his arms, whispering, "Maybe this is what the real soft life means." He chuckled. "Yes. Peace of mind, not filters." They laughed together, and for once, no cameras captured it. Weeks later, the scandal died down completely. Lydia's involvement eventually came to light through leaked internal emails, and public sympathy returned to Amara. Brands reinstated her partnerships, and her audience respected her even more. Not for her beauty, but for her grace under fire. Amara had survived another storm, but this time, she didn't just survive. She grew. Subscribe, like, and share this story of strength, forgiveness, and rebirth. The sun glowed softly over Lagos Island as Amara sat by the window, sipping tea and watching the city stir awake. The chaos that once defined her world had faded into a quiet kind of peace. It had been 6 months since the scandal that almost ruined her, again. But this time she hadn't broken. Instead, she'd built something unshakable, herself. Her Beyond the Filters platform had grown into a foundation supporting young women in content creation, small business management, and digital safety. What started as a YouTube series was now a nationwide movement. She was scheduled to speak at an international women's conference in Cape Town, her biggest invitation yet. But beneath the success, a quiet conflict brewed. Chaik had been offered a permanent position in Enugu, managing a new tech hub. It was his dream job, stable, well-paying, and peaceful. One evening, as they sat together on the balcony, Chaik finally spoke the words hanging between them. "Amara, I want you to come with me to Enugu." She looked at him, torn. "You know I love you, Chaik. But everything I've built is here in Lagos. The foundation, the projects." He nodded slowly. "I understand. But we can start fresh there. Maybe live a simpler life, away from all this attention." Amara went silent. She could almost picture it. Quiet evenings, small-town peace, no cameras, no judgment. But she could also feel the weight of her purpose pulling her in another direction. That night, Amara couldn't sleep. She sat at her desk, staring at the invitation email from the conference organizers. Her speech title read, "The Power of Falling and Rising Again." Her heart ached. She had fallen, publicly, painfully, and risen again. But this time, rising meant choosing between two beautiful things. Around 3 a.m., she opened her journal, the same one where she had written letters during her darkest moments. She flipped to a fresh page and began to write. "Dear God, I've chased fame, and it left me empty. I chased peace, and you gave it through pain. Now I'm chasing purpose, but it feels like I must lose something again to find it." Her tears fell onto the page. She closed the journal and whispered into the silence, "Please show me the right choice." Morning came with a call from the foundation's head of operations, Kemi. Amara, we got the grant. The UN partnership is confirmed. Amara gasped. You're serious? Yes. They want to fund our mentorship program for a full year. But they also want you to serve as ambassador. It means traveling, sometimes for months. Her excitement collided with dread. This opportunity could change everything, but it would mean living apart from Chaik again. When Chaik came home that evening, she told him. He listened quietly, his face unreadable. That's incredible, Amara. I'm proud of you. But it means I'll be away sometimes. Maybe even months. He exhaled deeply. And if I go to Enugu? I can visit, she whispered. Amara, he said. Softly, we've spent half our marriage trying to fix what Fame broke. I don't want to lose you again, not to the world this time, but to purpose. Her eyes filled with tears. I don't want to lose you either. He reached for her hand. Then what do we do? For a moment, the only sound was the hum of the city outside. Days passed, filled with tension and quiet prayers. One evening, Amara walked to the empowerment center alone. The girls she mentored were working on their first photography project. As she watched them laugh, something inside her settled. Ifeoma, the girl who had once asked her what soft life really meant, ran up and hugged her. Auntie Amara, you changed my life. I can now pay my school fees with my photography money. Amara smiled through tears. You changed mine too, Ifeoma. At that moment, she knew her answer. That night, Amara and Chaik sat in the living room, no lights on except the soft glow of a candle. She reached for his hand. Chaik, I've made my decision. He looked at her gently. Tell me. I can't leave the foundation. I know this is what I was created to do. But I also can't lose you again. So I'll find a balance. I'll work from Enugu when you settle there. And travel only when necessary. No fame, no spotlight, just purpose. He studied her face for a long moment, then smiled. That's the Amara I fell in love with. The one who fights for what matters. Tears shimmered in her eyes. I've hurt you before, Chaik. I won't do it again. He cupped her face gently. We both hurt each other. But love isn't about perfection. It's about staying when it's hard. They leaned into each other, foreheads touching, hearts steady. A month later, they moved to Enugu. Their new home was small but beautiful, surrounded by hills, quiet roads, and warm smiles from neighbors. Amara's work continued. She traveled occasionally, gave talks, and mentored hundreds of young women across Africa. But she always came home. To peace, to Chaik, to love. Her YouTube channel became less about trends and more about truth. Her final pinned video simply said, the real glow-up isn't beauty, it's peace. The real fame isn't followers, it's purpose. And the real slay queen is the woman who chooses love without losing herself. 2 years later, Amara stood backstage at a women's summit in Nairobi. Her speech was minutes away. She checked her phone. A message from Chaik appeared. Go shine, my real slay queen. I'm watching the live stream. She smiled, clutching the phone close. When she stepped on stage, the crowd rose in applause. The woman who once lived for the camera now spoke for a cause. Her voice rang out strong and clear. My name is Amara. I was once lost in filters, fame, and fear. But I learned that every fall can become a seed, if you let it grow roots in truth. Don't be afraid to start again. Sometimes, the woman you were isn't who you were meant to be. The audience stood, clapping and crying. And somewhere, watching on a laptop in their quiet Enugu home, Chaik smiled proudly. Amara had finally found her balance. Love, peace, and legacy. Not competing, but dancing together in harmony. That night, as her flight returned to Nigeria, she gazed out of the airplane window at the glittering city lights below. Lagos, Enugu, Nairobi, all part of her story now. She whispered softly to herself. The Slay Queen wife finally became the woman she was meant to be. Dizzy, thank you for watching The Slay Queen Wife. If you believe in second chances, forgiveness, and growth, hit subscribe and turn on notifications for more powerful African drama stories that heal, inspire, and transform. Red heart comment below. What does soft life mean to you now?